I say about antidepressants that it's like seeing there's a fire outside your, like through your window outside your house, and you solve it by pulling the curtain. Um, you hide the problem, really. You don't solve anything. You treat the symptoms and not the disease. And that's a secret with, having inner peace here. Never fight anything there, because you can't. You're like a viewer watching a movie, you're not in control, and you gotta accept that. And just kind of, to accept it, you have to stop fighting it, and just be there with your emotions and things. And if you truly do this, you're gonna notice that your fears, they weren't so scary at all. And after a while, there's not gonna be anything left to even be afraid of. It's very salty, but still so good, because I wanted a drink so bad when I was in here. Can you kind of, just seeing me exist right now, can kind of figure out, of course, how could I be an anxious person talking about these things? Like, I wanted to drink water. That was my problem, or my stress, my worry, So how could I worry about what people at work think about me, or about what girls think about me, or what friends think about me, the future, what I'm gonna do in life, what is the meaning of life? All of these things I don't care about. They just happen. Everything just is. So I'm here, dry fasted in the dry sauna again. I fasted for almost 24 hours, been dry for half of those hours. Then I just took an intense session in here, so pretty chill right now. And I have some snake juice here. I'm on a every other day eating routine right now, so I eat for 8 hours, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, preferably less, but I try to build muscle while doing prolonged fasts for a long time. I feel like I'm running a little low on electrolytes, so what I did is I did a really concentrated snake juice here. Be careful with that, by the way. Some people, if they get too much salt, too concentrated, they get diarrhea. I've noticed that I do fine with this, so what I do is I dry fasted, and I'm gonna replenish with some water and lots of salt, but then I'm gonna go dry for another day. But sometimes when you have a discipline and can practice a fasting focused lifestyle without any problems, you can make some wiggle room, be flexible like that. But I'd recommend, if you're getting used to it, to not do stuff like that. Like, if you're dry fasting then. But so, maybe I don't look like it, but I used to be a person with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, but like emotional anxiety, like not only for something that actually happened that I felt bad about, but that abstract, weird, just feeling like you want to get out of your body. So I remember thinking in my teens that I wish I had an off switch for my brain, so I could just turn off all those emotions, especially when I knew that it wasn't about anything real, just emotions, just an unpleasant emotional human experience, really. But so now I've found a few ways to press that off switch, like some that actually are like a switch that they relieve anxiety and a bad feeling like that instantly, but also I'll add in the end some more long-term solutions. Nowadays, I don't never need the instant relief, really, because I found myself, I've changed to the better so much. But it's I do the long-term stuff, you could say. I practice a lifestyle in a way that I minimize the possibility of feeling bad physically, mentally, or spiritually. But so there are a few things I came up with that you can do. So the first one is cold showers, and I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, this is the one that I practice less. It's cold treatment overall, really, but cold showers are intense, cold baths even more so, of course. But I noticed this summer, so like I said, I don't really get anxiety or depression anymore, but I can still have better and worse days, maybe a lot on my mind or something, a little stressed out or so. But then I was actually in a sauna with a friend, but just a regular sauna session, nothing special. Then I just decided when we had finished that I'm gonna max out on a cold shower here. So I forced myself to stand in really, really cold water. I think this is hard. I'm better with the saunas. But I found like my inner temple, you know. I For a while there I just existed and breathed, no shivering. And when I came out, I kind of felt like I just woke up, but not, you know, like all stiff in your body, like when you wake up, but actually like I just hit the reset. Everything that was on my mind before was just gone. And, you know, like I said, I didn't have a very bad day or anything. That's not why I did it, but that's when I noticed. And if you think about it, and this is going to be a trend, you know. This pressing a switch is not that easy. It's not as easy as just pressing it. It takes a little work, but it works. Like that works really, really fast. You can do that. I did that for 5 or 10 minutes. Felt very chill and mindful and relaxed and carefree afterwards. And yeah, speaking of sauna bathing, saunas are great for this too. And you don't have to do this thing that I do, extreme thing with fasting and going really hard and dry, sweating as much as you can out. But you want to do, like the theme for all of these things I'm going to tell you, the instant reliefs, is that you have to go intense. Like, you know, a warm shower won't do anything. So a sauna, you should go very hard. You don't have to do it dry. You can put on a lot of water, but it's good. It's supposed to be as intense as possible, and then you just push through it a lot. And what I do when I push myself as hard as I can in a sauna is that when I feel like I almost can't take it anymore, I kind of notice my pulse changing in a way. Then I pick a number in my head that I count to slowly, very builds discipline. But I pick like 150 and go in my head like 1, 2, 3, and you know. I would say the cold shower has a stronger effect, but it's harder to do than a sauna. You can get basically the same effect from the sauna. And if you want to try, you know, be careful if you want to try this thing I'm doing. But like today, I actually had kind of a bad day in the way that I felt sensitive, not emotionally, but you know that feeling that when sometimes it just you can feel everything and a little hair sticking out and just touching you, you need to scratch. Just felt sensitive in that way. And doing a thing like this, I mean, I wanted to go out almost as soon as I entered today, but I was here for an hour or so, and you know, I'm not annoyed by those little. I don't feel sensitive anymore. I just feel chill and laid back to do the saunas. And next we have exercise, and this can be both in the long term and short term. But basically, the short term, since we talk about alternatives to drugs, we start with more instant reliefs. And this was the only one I figured out when I was actually an anxious person. It's exercise. And I think you could do a lot. Like nowadays I prefer strength training, but how I found it was that I used to run like 6 kilometers. And what I started doing when I felt bad was doing it as fast as I could, which you don't always do with conditioning training, because it's just for the heart, and if you're not competing or anything, there's no need always to go as hard as you can. But I found that this makes you can't think about anything else. That this is so tough, this is so exhausting. Oh, I'm 40% down now. Oh, I'm 45% down now. So kind of clears your mind in that way. And I know the science. They always, when they talk about exercise for this like specific reason, for like mental health, they always say that strength training, weightlifting, doesn't have the same effect. I don't know about the specific science and all the hormones and all that, but for me, it like I remember a few times when I've come to the gym, like I said, not depressed or anything, but a little not in a perfect mood, and then I hit a few sets of bench press, and all of a sudden I'm like a new person. So exercise, but the key is to go hard for a while, so that you can't think about anything else, to clear your mind. Then if we're going to talk about a little more long-term solutions, because I guess people take antidepressants in the long term too, which you really shouldn't. Like I say about antidepressants, that it's like seeing there's a fire outside like through your window outside your house, and you solve it by pulling the curtain. You hide the problem, really. You don't solve anything. You treat the symptoms and not the disease. So fasting, a great thing. It's of course a little hard to say that it gives instant relief in the way that if you fast for 2 days, I'd say after 2 days most people won't feel anxious or depressed anymore because they'll be thinking about food. They're either be thinking about food because they're still food addicts, don't fast, or they'll just enter that space of mind that's hard to explain if you don't fast, but very very chill, very very animal-like state of mind, like not serious, but not, like, in a way, performance mode. No waste, no energy leaks, like waste of energy, like abstract anxiety and depression. And exercising in the long term, of course, I mean, once again, I think strength training has done more for me than conditioning training ever did. Like, I could feel when I started working out and my health wasn't as good as it is now, like situations that would make me anxious or a little nervous or so, I could kind of feel like there was a lid on the pot, or whatever, that when the emotions, when the bad feeling starts to rise, there's something holding it back. And now I barely ever feel something like that even rise. Hormesis, positive stress, this video was really about, but I'm not the science guy, so I prefer to talk about it in like, everyday way. It's very salty, but still so good, because, yeah, I wanted to drink so bad when I was in here. Can you kind of, with just seeing me exist right now, can kind of figure out, of course, how could I be an anxious person talking about these things? Like, oh, I really did, I wanted to drink water, that was my problem, or my stress, my worry, So how could I worry about what people at work think about me, or about what girls think about me, or what friends think about me, or the future? Ooh, what am I gonna do in life? What is the meaning of life? All of these things I don't care about. They just happen. Everything just is. Yeah, one last thing. All these things, I kind of think, meditation is a way to reach the same effect without actually going through, anything like a cold shower or so. Because what you can do if you're very anxious, but I know from experience that sometimes it's almost unbearable just existing with all these feelings and thoughts. But it keeps feeling that way because you try to fight it, you try to avoid it. And sometimes the best thing is just to really be there with your fears and emotions and thoughts. Like, instead of wanting them to go away, ask them why they're here. That can be meditation. Meditation can, of course, be some kind of routine you have when you get into the zone in the morning and so. That's a good long-term thing to do. But I mean, like, more instantly. You can actually challenge your thoughts. You can kind of conquer them. And that's a secret with, having inner peace here. Never fight anything there, because you can't. You're like a viewer watching a movie, you're not in control. And you gotta accept that. And just kind of, to accept it, you have to stop fighting it, and just be there with your emotions and things. And if you truly do this, you're gonna notice that your fears, they weren't so scary at all. And after a while, there's not gonna be anything left to even be afraid of. So that's the more like psychological thing. I like to call it spiritual, because I believe in something more, But the first things I went through, like basically hormesis, positive stress things, these can absolutely be used both instantly and in the long term to help fight bad emotions, hormonal issues. But if you aren't willing to do these things, I mean, you gotta stop whining, because then you can't be depressed then. I'm giving you some things that I know they are challenging, but if you do them, you do feel better in this specific way. Like if you have abstract feelings of anxiety and depression, You can absolutely remove them right away by lifting heavy until you can't take it anymore, running fast until you can't run anymore, being in the cold shower until you can't take it anymore, draining yourself in the sauna until you can't take it anymore. So I hope these tips were helpful, and I promise you, I know, look pretty healthy right now, right? But it wasn't too. I learned all of this because I was forced to when I was at my worst. I hope you can see. I think more random people who watch me understand, but some people around me, they think I want to pat myself on the back or something, that I'm so good for doing this. Sure, I think I'm doing a good thing, but it's not that, I just want to put out there. It's true that I felt so bad, and I fixed it. And you just got to do what I did, really. Some details are different for people, the big picture is the same. So, hope this was helpful, and hit like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, link is in the description, and I'll see you. Probably gonna make more sauna videos, right? It's a good opportunity for me after the sauna, just let it cool down, think a little bit what I'm gonna talk about, and then hit record, So yeah, peace.